So now let's talk about mapping, and this is kind of a beginning to talk about functions. So mapping is a rule that links an input number with one or several output numbers. So we're going to change each of our inputs, which we're going to call x, and we're going to do something to them, and then we're going to get a different output number out of it. So for example, how about if we got x that's going to be changed by our rule to give us x plus 1. So we can have all different values that we want for this x. So for example, if we start off with 1, then we end up with 1 plus 1, which is 2. If we start off with 10, we end up with 10 plus 1, which is 11. If we start off with minus 5, then we end up with minus 5 plus 1, which is minus 4. If we start off with 0, we end up with 0 plus 1, which is 1, etc. And it doesn't have to be whole numbers. You know, if we got 1.1, that would give us 1.1 plus 1, which gives us 2.1. I just happen to have chosen whole number examples here. And then we can draw these on a graph if we liked. Let's do that just roughly here. So here on our x-axis we've got x, which is the input, so we're going to put all these values on the x-axis, and then we're going to be putting their corresponding outputs, which is x plus 1, on the y-axis. Okay, so what's our scale going to be like? We need to go up to 10 on the x-axis, and we need to go up to a bit more than 10 on the y-axis. Right, so then if we start off with 1, that's here on the x-axis, and we end up with 2. So that'll be about here. If we start off with 10, and we end up with 10 plus 1, which is 11, which is about here. If we start off with minus 5, then we end up with minus 4, which is about here. If we start off with 0, then we end up with 1, which is about here. And you'll notice that we can draw a straight line through all of these. Let's do that in green. Okay, so all the input-output pairs fit perfectly on a line when plotted. Okay, so this is the process of mapping. So we're going from one number, we're changing it, and we're getting a different output. So for each x, there's a single y value, if you like, on the line, but that's not necessarily true. So now let's say, how about if we go from x to plus or minus x? So there, if we've got 1, let's put the 1 there, that goes to plus 1 or minus 1, so plus or minus x. 10 plus 10 or minus 10. Minus 5, that goes to minus 5 or plus 5. And 0, that just goes to 0. We don't have two options for that because you can't have plus or minus 0. And if we plot these on a graph, we get quite a different story. So we've got the same kind of scale that we need here. So it's 10, 5. This is x, our input, and this is our output, which is plus or minus x. So then here's our 0 in the middle, and then if we have 10, then that can give us plus 10 or minus 10. Minus 5, minus 5 or plus 5. And if we did any other number, it would give us the same. So we've got these lines going out like this around 0. So So here you'll notice that for every value of x we get 2 different values of y. So one value of x corresponds to 2 values for y. Alright, so that's all I have to say about that for now.